Hi everyone, Nicholas Buffett is here from sunny Cyprus, and this tutorial I'm creating specifically for my Year 7 ICT students for the topic of word processing using Microsoft Word. Now, if you're not one of my students and you just want to learn the basic skills of Microsoft Word, then this tutorial is also for you. Now, Year 7 students, you're going to be able to use this tutorial together with the lessons that we're going to be doing. So if you do miss a lesson, you've got this tutorial to make sure you catch up and make sure you've got all the material that I'm going to be covering throughout this particular part of the course. You'll be able to use this video tutorial to help you or remember skills, but also to help you to prepare for the assessment work we're going to do in word processing as well. Okay, you're going to be receiving a OneNote page in our OneNote class notebook. Probably you'll be able to access it directly from the assignment that I'm going to set up for you in Microsoft Teams. But whatever the case is, you're going to have access to this information. In black writing are the exercises that you need to do, and in this orangey red color here, we can see I give you small description on how you can actually do these skills that are required from you. So the first thing it says is to download these two files, report.rtf and the gaming.jpg, from either Teams or from here. I'm going to download them from here. So I'm going to right click on this one here, click on Save As. I'm going to go to my downloads folder and click on Save. And then I'm going to do the same here, right click on the gaming picture here, Save As. Make sure I'm in the downloads folder, I am, and click on Save. Okay, so that's that action. Then if I have a look now in my folder in the downloads, there I am in downloads. Here we go. I've got the gaming and that RTF file. Save the document as a Word document on your desktop with the name Word Skills. So to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this RTF. So it opens in Word. And the first thing I see, I've got this like yellow protected ribbon at the top. I'm going to click on Enable Editing. That allows me to edit. And then I'm going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to change this from RTF. I'm going to make sure I choose a Word document, the one that says .docx, this one here. And I want to save that with the name Word Skills. And click on Save. So now I should have, in the same place I had before, there it is, Word Skills. And the document I've got open now, if we look at the top, it says Word Skills.docx up here. So that's that first part. Next part, it says zoom page in and out. So these are some skills that we're going to learn how to navigate around in Word and do some skills. So the first one is, how do we zoom in and out? Now the best way I prefer is, if I go to view, I can go to print layout. This is the print layout. It shows me the both sides of the page. And if I hold the control button on my keyboard, I'm just going to bring this down so you can see that. There it is, there, the control button here. With that, if I keep that pressed there, and then just move the wheel on my mouse backwards and forwards. So if I have that, I can zoom in, zoom out, and I can zoom in. So you're going to adjust the zoom whichever way is best for you. I like being able to see both sides of my page. So that's zoom in, zoom out, using the control button and the wheel on the mouse. The next one we're going to have a look at is selection techniques. So how can we select? So one of the most important things when using computers is to be able to select, because the golden rule is select, then do. So the one way that we can select is we can hold the left button down, this button here, and then we can just, as we click on that, just drag, and I can do different selections just by clicking and dragging with the mouse. So it's good to practice that. Not my preferred method. The other method which I'm going to show you are these ones here. So if I want to select multiple things, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit here using the control and the mouse wheel. I'm going to select, let's say, this piece of text here, and now I'm going to hold the control button and I can select this. And while I've still got the control button pressed, I can make multiple selections. Okay, so that's how we can select multiple items. Okay, the next one I'm going to show you is, how do we select one word? So if I double click on a word, double click, it selects one word. If I want to select a sentence, so from here to here is one sentence, that's where the full stop is. So I can do that manually by clicking and dragging, but if I simply hold the control button and click once, you can see it selects a sentence. So control button and click will select a sentence. Then I'm going to select one line. So if I want to select from this side to this side, just the one line, I'm going to go to this area here, which is my left margin, this blank area. I'm just going to click one time. You can see my mouse changes shape as I move to the left. Have a look. Can you see it turns into a right pointing arrow? Yeah. So if I click here, it selects that line. And again, if I hold the control button, if I keep my control button pressed on the keyboard, I can select many lines. Next one I'm going to show you is 3 clicks in a paragraph. Quick click, so 1, 2, 3, that selects a paragraph. Again, 1, 2, 3, selects paragraph. And if I do 3 quick clicks in the margin, in my right margin here, where I can see my insertion point to the right, 1, 2, 3, that selects the whole document. I'm going to do the last one here, which is going to be Control A. So hold the control button on your keyboard and the letter A, and that will select all of your document as well. Okay, so next we're going to have a look at this one here, hard return and soft return. What are the differences between a hard return and a soft return? Well, it really basically means that the hard return is whenever you press the enter key on your keyboard or the return key, that's going to do a hard return. And if you hold the shift button down while you're pressing that enter key, so holding the shift down first, so you hold the shift down and then press the enter key, that's a soft return. So the one breaks the paragraph or starts a new paragraph, that's a hard return, and holding the shift and pressing enter, that actually breaks the line. So it's a new line break. Let's have a look and see what the difference is. Now, before I actually show you that, it's easier if I also show you this one here at the same time, see hidden characters. So in my home ribbon here, I've got this button here, which is the show hide button. And if I click on this, I can see all the invisible characters. And for example, things like spaces, that's that dot there, that's a space. So if I press the space bar again a few times, you can see that's a dot in the middle of the line. This symbol here, that is a paragraph break. It looks like an invert or a P facing the wrong way round. Okay, and that happens whenever I press the enter button. And then I've got what's known as a soft break. I don't have one here. We're going to create one now so you can have a look. So if I place my insertion point here at the end, and I've got the show hide button, I'm going to turn the show hide button off now. And if I press the enter key only to do a hard break or in here, we see nothing happens except this blue grammar line here. But what has happened? If I look at the show hide now, I can see it's added a new paragraph. Well, you say, well, what's the difference? Well, if I was to select this, and we're going to see bullets and numbers later on, that's fine, but don't worry about it for now. If I go and add bullets now, it actually adds 2 bullets because there were 2 paragraphs. Look, this is here a new paragraph. So what's the difference with the soft break? So I'm going to press Control Z again, or click up here to undo. So I've got rid of that hard break there, or that hard enter. And this time I'm going to hold the shift button. And while I've got the shift button pressed, I'm going to press enter. Okay, and that puts a soft break. And you can see that symbol there, that's a soft break. So basically now, if I was to select this paragraph and use bullets, I only get 1 bullet, but it's only 1 paragraph. Where is this handy? Well, it's handy in cases like this. Let's say I want to start this sentence here. Gaming is no longer a pastime on the next line, but I don't want a new paragraph. If I press enter on my keyboard, that generates a new paragraph. Okay, I know it's on the same line, but look, it's a new paragraph. There's the symbol here. If I wanted to make that just to start on the next line, but to be in the same paragraph as this one here, then I'm going to hold the shift button and press enter. Okay, and now looking at that, we can see that soft break is there. So all of this, if I was to click 3 times quickly in here, 1, 2, 3, it selects all of this because that's 1 paragraph. Okay, so I'm just going to put that back where it was, and we're going to move on. We're going to see how we're going to use these later. Make the ruler visible. Now, the ruler is very, very useful when you're working in Microsoft Word, because and that's this thing up here. So if you don't see this this area up here, which is the ruler, then I'm going to go to the view, and I'm going to make sure you need to make sure you got this ruler ticked. If I remove the tick, then the rulers on the left and on the top vanish. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that ruler is visible. So there's my ruler there on the top and the bottom. Okay, and these are in centimeters, but then again, it depends on how you've got your computer configured or Windows configured, what metric system you're using, centimeters or inches. Mine is in centimeters. Let's move on. Okay, so the next one is the difference between backspace versus delete. So on your keyboard, you've got the backspace button and you've got the delete button. So let me just show you these on the camera very quickly. Okay, so my backspace button is this one here. You see, that's the backspace button. And then the delete button is that one there that says delete. Okay, so let's just put the camera back. Okay, so what's the difference? Well, this, whenever I click, you can see this flashing line. I'm just going to zoom that in to make it a bit bigger. I'm going to put it in the middle of the word minds. So it's between the letter I and N. If I press backspace, it's going to delete whatever is behind the insertion point. If I press delete, it's going to delete what's in front of the insertion point. So if I press backspace now, it deletes the I. Let's undo that. If I press delete, it deletes the N. So they both do exactly the same thing. It just depends where your insertion points, what you want to do. So if I want to delete the word of, I've got a couple of options. I can double click to select the word, and then I can press delete, and that will delete it. Or I can place my insertion point in front of the word of and press backspace to delete behind the insertion point. Or I can place my insertion point at the beginning of the word of and press delete to delete in front of the insertion point. So that's the difference between backspace and delete. I'm going to zoom out again. Go. Okay, so let's begin with the actions that we need to do for this exercise. The first one says, change the page to A4 and make sure the orientation is portrait and all margins are 2.5 centimeters. So the first thing that I need to do is to go to this ribbon here, the layout ribbon. And from here, I'm going to open. Now, you can use the quick access things here, okay, but I like you using the dialog boxes. So I'm going to go to the page setup and click on this little arrow here. That's going to open up the dialog box. And I can see here, I've got some tabs, margins, paper, and layout. Okay, so I'm going to go to margins and change all of these to 2.5. And that's basically my top, bottom, and left margin. And I'm going to show you what they are in a second. And I'm also going to go to my orientation, portrait. I can change it to landscape. That's going to basically change the way it's going to write on the paper. So it's going to be either, let's have a look. This is landscape, okay, and that's portrait. So, and then I'm going to go to paper, and I'm going to make sure I've got the correct paper selected. So you can see this one here is letter. This is the American size paper. So we want to use A4. So I'm going to go down and choose A4 size paper and click OK. So my margins are basically these areas here. It's this area. This is my top margin, this white area here. You can see this in the gray area on this left ruler. That's the margin. And this is the bottom margin down here. And this is the left margin over here. So this white area here. And this is the right margin. Okay. So basically, this prevents you from typing in the margins and gives you that white border space around your document. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to go to in the header, we're going to add your full name, left aligned, and in the footer and the page number aligned to the center in footer. Okay, so to do this, I want to double click inside the top margin or the bottom margin. So if I double click quickly here, let's try that, there we go. It now opens the header, and if I go down, there's my footer. So what the header is, basically anything you type in the header, it's going to appear on every single page of your document. So if your document is 50 pages long, whatever you type here, it's going to put it at the top of every single one of those 50 pages. So what I want to do is to put my name left aligned. Now I'm going to show you how you can put your name and other details left, middle, and right aligned quickly. So with my insertion point in the header, I'm going to go here. I'm going to make sure I'm in the header and footer ribbon. And if I click on header, I'm going to choose this one here, blank 3 columns. Now this allows me to type something on the left, in the middle, and on the right. Isn't that awesome? Without using space. Please don't use the space bar to move your insertion point to the middle and to the right. So I'm just going to undo that. And that's what it looked like. So I'm going to type my name here. And if I don't want to type anything in this middle one here, I'm going to click here once, press delete, and then click here once and press delete. So it doesn't have type text here or whatever. It just has my name on the left. Now on the bottom, I want to put my page number center aligned. So I'm going to click down here in the footer. This time I'm going to go to footer, choose blank 3 columns. I want to put my page number in the middle. So I'm going to click here where it says type here. So I'm in the middle. And then again, making sure I'm in the header and footer ribbon, I'm going to go to page number, choose current position and choose plain number. And that's going to put the page number here. And if I go down to the next page, you can see there's number 2. And if I wanted some other information on the left or the right, then I can just type them here. And if I don't, I'm just going to delete those. Okay. So next step is I want to come out of the header and footer section. So I can either click here where it says close header and footer, or I can double click in the body of my text. So if I double click here, 1, 2, there you go. My header and footer section is grayed out, okay, and my body is full black, right, which means I can edit in that area there. So let's go down to the next part. I want to remove all the formatting from the document. So if we have a look at this document here, we can see some things here are aligned to the right, others are aligned to the left, and it's got lots of different formatting. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to press Control A on my keyboard to select the entire document, or I could 3 clicks in the left margin, 1, 2, 3. Tricky this, there you go. Okay, so Control A is the preferred method. And then from the home ribbon, we've got this button here and it says clear all formatting. And if I click on this, all the formatting will be removed. There'll be no formatting at all. They will apply the default text or the default format which Word starts with. Okay, so anything which is aligned, bold, italic, alignment, everything is gone and it goes to the default setting, which is left aligned, and it has whatever text, Arial size, or whatever size that is. Okay, so we've done that part. So now what we want to do, so we've cleared the formatting, we want all the body of the text should be sans serif font size 12 fully justified. Well, first of all, what is serif and sans serif font? And if I'm not saying sans properly, I don't know French. I just know in French it means without. So what are serifs? So if we have a look here, I'm just going to format this word here, consoles. I'm just going to change the formatting to Times New Roman. And what I want you to do now, if I zoom in really closely, can you see these little ticks on the L and the S and the N? It's got these little ticks on the bottom, on the top. These little ticks are known as serifs. So this is a serif font because it has those ticks. This font, the word game, this is a sans serif font because it doesn't have the ticks. This is a much easier font to read. So in this particular case, I'm just going to do undo to get rid of that. It basically says it wants all of it to be a sans serif font, size 12. So for sans serif, we use Arial. So I'm going to press Control A on my keyboard. I'm going to go to the font. I'm going to choose Arial. This is the default or the preferred sans serif font. And that's made all of my text like that. And I'm also going to click here and make that size 12. So all of my text now is size 12 and the sans serif font. Next, and it also should be fully justified. So let's do that as well. So justified is this. So this is left alignment. In the home ribbon, we go to left. This is center aligned. You can see my text is aligned in the center. This is right aligned. And then we've got justified. This is fully justified. We get a nice blocked, how would I say, effect. So it's straight on both sides. So that's justified. And then the next one we want to do is identify the 8 subheadings and format them as follows. So we want them again sans serif font size 12, but this time we want them left aligned and bold. So first we need to identify the 8 titles. So here's one here, history. Now this is where we're going to use the control button to do multiple selections. So I'm going to double click on history. That selects that one word. I'm going to go down. I'm going to hold the control button and I'm going to click and drag over that one. So that's 2 selections. Hold the control, select over that one. Now you can do these one by one if you want, but this just saves so much time. Let's go find some more video games. So I'm holding the control button throughout this now. So holding the control button, selecting online gaming, double clicking on this word here. Still holding the control button, selecting this one, click and drag. This is one word. I can click and drag or double click while I'm holding the control button. So there you go. I've selected all of these titles. Can you see that? So now I can format them in one go. I want to make sure they are left aligned. And I also want to make sure that they are bold. I'm going to click on bold here as well. And we can see now that all of these titles have got the same formatting. Don't worry about this title being on its own. We're going to look at that later on. So that's where the selection methods come in. Okay, so let's move on. All paragraphs, not including headings, subheadings, tables, or lists, must have a first line indent of 1.5 centimeters and a 10-point space after each paragraph. So the left line indent is when we have something like this. I'm just going to use spaces here. I'm going to do this on this first one, which is wrong. We don't use spaces. But if I press space, that's a first line indent, okay, for this paragraph. So I'm just going to undo that. And then you could use the tab as well, and the tab key will basically move that in. The tab key, since I've mentioned it, I will show you it as well. Here it is. It is that key there, the one with the two arrows, one facing left and the other one facing right. Okay. So that tab key is a predefined fixed space, and it's actually really quite useful. Okay, we're not going to use the tab key either. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to use our selection method so we can select all the text, and we don't want to select lists, headings, or anything like that. So I'm going to click here and in the margin and just select these lines, hold the control button down. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to select this. This is a list. We can see that list there, and that's the list. So we're going to select all of that, holding the control button all the time now. Okay, so I can let go. I've let go of everything right now. But before I click on the mouse again, I'm going to hold that control button to continue with this selection. So I'm going to hold the control button down, select that, and then select that, click and drag. I'm going to let go of the control button so I can scroll down. And then I'm going to hold the control button again. I'm going to click and drag down to here. Now this takes a little bit of practice, so make sure you practice this. And basically here, what I want to do, I want to format the paragraph settings. And what does this mean? Well, you can see after each paragraph, it's got this little space. But basically what we want to do, we want to add a first line indent on everything. So I'm just going to zoom in. And after every paragraph, I want it to add a small space. Okay, so I'm going to go to the home ribbon. I'm going to go to paragraph. I'm going to go here. Now I'm going to say, for indentation, I'm going to go to this section special. I'm going to say first line, and that's going to be 1.5 centimeters. And then here for the spacing, I want after every paragraph, I want a 10-point space. Okay, and that's it. Now, if you want to add line spacing, for example, and I'll show you that in a second, you would add the line spacing here. This is one that you students tend to use quite a bit. You probably put something like double line spacing, so it looks like you've written a longer report. Don't do that. The best line spacing is 1.5. Okay, because that makes it easier for people which have got either poor eyesight or reading difficulties. It makes it easier for those lines to separate. Too much space is not good. So probably the best line spacing is 1.5. I'm not going to add that yet though. I'm going to click on OK. Now you can see, let me just zoom out. All of my paragraphs have got that indent there. And you can see this space has increased. And the reason it's increased is because this here, where there was a paragraph, it's put 10 points space here and the 10-point space here. So basically this means if I go here now and press the enter key to make a hard return, it adds a 10-point space break in that paragraph, and it automatically indents this first paragraph. Let me undo. If I have a click here and use Shift and enter, which is a soft return, it starts the line here. Actually, let me just do this from the middle. So if I go from here, there go, shift and enter, that's a soft return. It will not put a gap, and it will not indent that line because it's not a new paragraph. So if I was to press just enter, there you go, I get this 10-point gap now, and I also get the indentation. And that's where you can see the difference between a soft break and a hard break, or a soft return and a hard return. So the hard return starts that new paragraph, whereas the soft return, let me just take that back, basically just starts a new line. So what I did there was, if we have a look at the show high button, I've got my insertion point here. I want to delete this thing here. This thing, this paragraph break here is behind my insertion point. So I'm pressing backspace, 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 and it's gone. However, if I wanted to use delete, I would have to put my insertion point before this paragraph break, and I can use delete, and there you go. Same thing as before. So let's just get rid of that show high. So now what we've done is we've added a 10-point gap after every single paragraph break. After anywhere where it had one of these symbols, it added a paragraph break, but not in this list because we didn't select this list. Okay, so let's move on. Right, add square bullets to all the items in the list, which begins with the item user control interface and ends with the item power supply. The indent the bulleted list by at least 2.5 centimeters. Okay, so there's a number of ways of doing this. So here's my list, user control interface up to power supply. So again, I'm going to select, then do, that's a golden rule. I'm going to select my list. I'm going to go to the home menu, the home ribbon here. I'm going to click on here where it's got bullets, click on the little down arrow, and I can choose the bullet which I want. I want this square bullet. And then I've got, again, from the home ribbon, I've got this increase indent and decrease indent. So if I increase this, I bring my list in. If I decrease it, I bring it back. So I want up to 2.5 centimeters, and that's where my ruler comes in handy. I can see this point here is 2.5 centimeters. So I'm going to increase the indent so that I'm at least, there you go, 2.5 centimeters at least. So even this would be okay because I'm at least 2.5 centimeters. I'm just going to take it a little bit back. Okay, so that's where the ruler comes in really handy. So if I just move that up, you can see there's the 2.5 from the ruler, and there's my bulleted list. I'm absolutely fine. Okay, so let's just make sure we go there and continue. Now then, the next thing that I want to do is to add a new line at the top of the document and add the title Gaming Consoles. Okay, so the title must be center aligned and bold, serif font, size 18, italic. So I want to go to the very top of my document, and basically I want to put my title before this thing here, history. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place my insertion point before the letter H, which is the very, very, very beginning of my document. And I'm going to press a hard break or a hard return. So by pressing the enter button to start a new paragraph, there it is. So now I've got a blank line here. So that's how I've added a new line. I can also do it this way, but there's a little difference. Hold the shift and enter, that will give me a blank line, but then that will make the paragraph and the word history, the title and the word history one paragraph, and I don't want that. I'm going to show you why in a second. So let's just undo that. I'm going to press enter to make a hard break. Let's have a look. There it is. It's made my hard break there. And I'm going to write here, gaming consoles. Okay, let's just get rid of the show high button. And it wants this aligned to the center. And look at that. Only this one here is aligned to the center. Let me just copy that. Now, if I undo what I did, if I used a soft break, so I'm going to use shift and enter now, and added the word gaming consoles, when I now try to undo that, let me type it in. I'm just going to put the word gaming. Let's just put all the consoles. When I try to align this by selecting it to the center, it puts the word history as well. And that's because both of these are one paragraph. You see how important hard returns and soft returns are? Okay, so what I'm going to do to make sure that doesn't happen, I'm going to place my insertion point here, press delete because I want to delete that soft break, like that. And now I'm going to press enter to put a hard break. And now I can make the word history left aligned. Okay, so you can see how the combination of using the show hide can show me what's going on, and I can know where to place my insertion point to know whether I'm going to use delete or backspace. And now I've broken this line and this line to be two separate paragraphs, so the history and the gaming consoles. So the next thing is it wants this to be bold, center lined. It's done that. Size 18. It wants it italic. So here's the italic button here. But it also wants a serif font. That's a font with the little ticks. So the font we use for serif fonts is Times New Roman. And there we go. So that's 18 points, serif font, aligned to the middle, bold and italic. Okay, next, I want to create a table after the text rating categories suggest age appropriateness and are as follows. So I'm going to go to here, I'm going to go find that text, and here it is here. Rating categories, okay, good. So I want to insert a table after this, and my table is going to be 2 columns by 8 rows. So 2 columns, 1, 2, and I've got 8 rows. Now, to create the table, I'm going to place my insertion point where I want the table, and that's after the word follows. I'm going to go now to the insert ribbon, and here I've got the button table. I can click on this and I can just simply move my mouse. I'm not pressing any buttons. I'm just moving my mouse to draw the table I want. And it says up here what it is. I want 2 by 8. There it is. And then simply click. And there's my table. 2 columns by 8. Now I know it's split over 2 pages. We can fix that later. There's no rush. If you want to fix it now, all you have to do is just go before the table and press the enter key. Like that. Keep pressing enter, and there you go. But I'm going to undo that. I'm going to leave it there until the end. I always like formatting my document after I finished with the document, because whenever you add something new, everything changes a little bit more. So leave all your final formatting until the end. Now it wants me to add all of these things here inside my table. So I'm just going to need to type these out. So I'm going to do this very quickly. Okay, so I've entered that information. I simply copy pasted, and what I did was I simply selected all of that data from there. I selected all of my table here, because it's exactly the same site, and then right click and then chose to keep the text only. So I don't want any of the formatting. So anyway, you would have to type that out, by the way, to practice your typing skills. And you can see here I've got some really big gaps. Sometimes we can get rid of those afterwards. We'll have a look at that later. So there's my table. I've inserted my table. Let's move on. Add the picture gaming.jpg in the second paragraph, which begins with insert picture here. The picture should be resized to 2.5 centimeters high, maintaining the aspect ratio, applying tight text wrapping to the image, and place the image so that it is aligned with the first line of the second paragraph and the left margin. So here it basically gives you a description of how to do this. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this now. So I'm going to go to my second paragraph. My second paragraph is way up here. Here it is here. So it's got the thing here, insert picture here. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete the indentation as well. It doesn't say to delete the indentation, so it wouldn't be wrong, but you're going to see why I've done it in a second. And the next thing I want to do is to add my picture. Now remember, I downloaded my picture at the beginning. So I'm now going to go to insert picture or pictures from this device, basically from my computer. So what I'm going to do now, just adjust this a bit. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on this device. I'm going to go to my documents. Where am I? Sorry, downloads. And there's my picture. and just add it in here. Now, can you see it's just added it anyway? It doesn't matter where it's added. We're going to change where it's going to add it. So the first thing I want to do is to change the size of the picture, maintaining the aspect ratio. Now, have a look here. Can you see here you've got the picture format now? If I click anywhere in the text, that picture format vanishes. And Word does that. It will make new ribbons appear when you select something which has a ribbon. So if I click on my picture, that ribbon appears and I can select it. Now, if I do this, if I change the height like this, now I can see here that's gone to 1.83 and I can just move that up to, let's say, 2.5, but I've squashed it. And by squashing it, I haven't maintained the aspect ratio. Okay, so I have deformed my picture. The same goes if I do the width. I've now deformed my picture. The aspect ratio is not maintained. The way to maintain your aspect ratio manually will be to use the corner tag. And can you see, as I move that diagonally, the height and the width change together. That's maintaining the aspect ratio. I'm going to let go of that. So basically wants the height to be 2.5. So with the picture selected, I'm going to go to the picture format, and here where it's got the height, you can see the up and down arrow here, that's the height. I'm going to change that to 2.5. And as soon as I press enter, that's going to change the width as well for me automatically. So I've changed it to 2.5 centimeters high, and the width has automatically adjusted. Let me undo that. So you can see the width was 3.03. When I change this to 2.5, the width changes to 3.53. So that's changed automatically. Now, the text wrapping is the way the text goes around the picture. And you can see this. If I move my picture in the middle here, it puts the text above and below. I don't want that. So by going to the picture format, I'm going to go, picture format ribbon. I'm going to go here where it says wrap text, and I'm going to choose tight. And this allows me to move my picture in the text, and the text wraps around the picture tightly. So I can now move my picture, make sure it is aligned to the top, the first line of my paragraph here, and the left margin. So this will be wrong because I'm beyond my margin. This will be wrong because I'm above the first line. This is wrong because I'm below the first line. This is wrong because I'm not on the left margin. So I want to bring it aligned with the top. Can you see those green lines, those snap grids? I'm on the top margin of the top of that line and the left margin. I'm going to let go. Perfect. Okay, that's that done. Now it says modify your document using hard return. I should also add here, I'm going to add this as well, so that all paragraphs are intact, lists are not split, tables are not split. You can also delete any large gaps between the paragraphs. And I'm also going to do spell check. Okay. So from here, what I want to do is I'm going to have a look, and I can see whatever's underlined red, you know, that's usually a spelling mistake. So I can simply right click and then select the correct word. That's just the way I prefer. That you can use the spell checker as well, but just for simplicity, there's not going to be that many mistakes. So we can just go find those red lines. All of those are done. Good. And the next thing is we're going to adjust all of these things here. So can you see this table is split across pages? We don't want that. So I want to bring this down. So what I'm going to do is if I have a look at this here, and it's up to you how you do it. You can either do this, go here and press enter, bring that down. I'm going to click on undo. Or you can, let me just have all the pages showing. There we go. I can take this whole paragraph down because that paragraph goes with the table. But what I'm going to do, if I look closely here, let me just undo that. I've got this subheading here and this paragraph split, so if I bring this paragraph with the heading, so I'm going to put it at the beginning, then press enter, bring that to the next page. That also pushes this down. I'm going to bring this one down as well. There you go. That out, and here I've got this heading here. That's on its own. So I'm just going to bring that one down as well. I'm going to go there and press enter there as well. And there we go. Looks much, much better. And if I had any large gaps, let's say something like this, then I'm just going to go here and just go backwards, because these, if we have a look, these are just breaks. So I can just go backwards or press the delete button and make it look correct. And that looks like a decent document. My lists are intact, my tables are intact, my paragraphs are intact. And that's it. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to File, Save. That's going to save my document in my download section or wherever it is that you saved it. There it is there. Now, some people get confused and many times they upload to their team's assignment, instead of the correct document, they upload this file here, which has got this little squiggly line. This is not your Word document. This is a temporary file. Have a look and see what happens. This file opens whenever you open a Word document. So if I close this document, look what's going to happen to this one here. You see, it's vanished. As soon as I open my Word document, it automatically generates this little file here. So you don't want to be attaching this file to your assignments. You want to be closing your Word document first, wherever you've got it saved, and then go and attach your Word document. Close that, and that's it. I think I've covered absolutely everything. The last thing is attach your document to the assignment and turn it in, or whatever I've asked you to do. So those are all the skills that you need for the assessed work. These are the skills you're going to be learning and using in the next couple of lessons to do with word processing. And of course, if you have any questions and you're one of my, or you're a Year 7 student at the Junior Senior School, make sure you ask your teacher.